Hey guys, welcome to the Inside Running Podcast, Shoe Geeks episode, end of financial special. So, two busy lads with me, own their own businesses. How's life going over there? Thanks for joining me and just before the end of financial year. You both look stressed.
No, I'm not that stressed. End of financial year is for the accountant to worry about, not me.
True, yeah. You'll receive the bill next week. Tommy, how are you, mate? I know you've moved house recently.
I'm all
Tell the
right.
people where you've moved to.
Yeah, I've moved to Oyster Bay, so I'm a Shire guy now. So
That means
Shy
nothing
guy.
to me here.
it's actually worked out. It's worked out okay with end of financial year because I've opened a clinic in Caringbah, and so I've had to buy all this equipment for
Very
it.
good.
So,
Good. And how's it all looking?
what's that?
How's it all looking?
Yeah, it's okay. It's getting there. Just stressful. Just there's always things you forget. Like I'm just like, oh, this, that, this. And it's just, yeah. But
Is it like another sports medicine facility, or are you in with a group of other allied health practitioners, or?
so it's a physio practice,
Yep.
and there's a sports doctor in there as well.
Nice.
So,
I think,
Tom,
yeah,
what's been your favourite purchase? Like, what have you loved going out researching and buying?
Nothing exciting, is there? There's the orthotic grinder is always fun to research if there's anything else new and better out there. But I went back to my old trusty in the end.
Do you go to medical grade, or do you go to like an industrial place that builds carpentry grinders and stuff and just modify it yourself?
Because I've used the carpentry grinders and you just don't get the RPM. Like it's just too slow. So you need that real high spinning rates for the foams and that sort of stuff. So no, I just went straight for the stock standard one I've been using. Nothing too exciting.
Yeah.
All right.
No special shockwave. You haven't gone down the sort of the Hail Mary placebo pathway.
Nothing fancy. So I was talking about this. Like we had having a lot of conversations up at the National Sports Podiatry Conference around like technology and utilization within practice and that sort of stuff, which actually is what the APOD, the other association event was the week before, all about technology, implementing technology. And I don't know, like to be honest, I still don't see that much benefit. Maybe because I don't use it, so I don't have that first-hand experience. But I'm pretty old school. Just having the conversation with the person and figuring out things via history, and then just a physical exam and that sort of stuff, rather than using pressure plates and in-shoe systems and all that sort of stuff.
I agree highly. So. What about you, Julian? How's one, the running going, and two, the shop? How's it all going?
Shop's good. Shop's been fun. Funny time of the year for the shop because we're getting different, it's a changeover between first half of the year and second half. A lot of the time the brands break their years into two seasons. So the first half of the year, second half of the year, and they'll either give a color update to a model or a full update. And so that's sort of occurring as we speak. And because there are still some delays, so there's a lot of product that we were supposed to be getting that hasn't arrived yet. And then some stuff that was supposed to come in January is now arriving in June. But the back half stuff for the same brand is not delayed. And so it's all arriving at once. So we're getting all of the first half of the year's stock arrive in June, and all the back half of the year's stock arrive in June.
Look, we haven't even asked recently, moving from Ballarat to Geelong, is there much difference? Are there more road runners there you're selling, or more trail shoes? I'm assuming there's not much trail around Geelong besides Yangs at all, or?
Down the surf coast where we live is heaps of trail. It's not like the most popular trail where we live is the Surf Coast Trail, which runs from Torquay down to Anglesea, or even on further, you can go all the way on the Surf Coast Walk down to like Fairhaven, Moggs Creek. But the most popular track is from Torquay to Bells Beach and back, and it's very light, sort of grind, like the tan, that sort of trail.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
So we like our technical trail market is lower, but our door-to-trail market is bigger. So we're finding that a lot of the trail shoes we sell are the ones that feel most like a road shoe.
It's like a Pegasus Trail and things like that.
Yeah, Pegasus Trail, Ultra, Timp, New Balance Trail More, just softer shoes that that foreign from the road shoe version of whatever that customer's wearing. And so, it's hard to get that type of shoe right from a brand to be able to make a good hybrid. The new Peg Trail 4 is pretty nice though. Like that's a solid offering.
I've been seeing that on the hockey field recently. People have been going to that for hockey here in South Australia. So I'm not sure if it's just like it feels more like a running shoe, enough lug to grab the surface of synthetic.
Yeah, there's hockey players have always sort of like the Solomon shoes and also the Mizuno Daiichi. That would actually be the shoe I would wear for hockey because it has a lip. The rubber, like a strong outer sole lip, comes up to protect the toes from getting hit with a stick or the ball. Yep. Whereas, the Peg Trail, I'm not sure if that's my shoe for hockey because it's like at the toe box, it's basically just like a light mesh.
Yeah.
But it's a really comfortable shoe. And doesn't matter how technical a shoe is supposed to be, if it doesn't feel good straight out, it's not going to work. And so I think people have to, like these brands focus too much on the intricate details of trail shoes when they have to get back to just being comfortable.
That's it. Well, tell us what you've been running in though. So I see Bree's been running more than you have recently, or
yeah, Bree's taken my spot in the group. So now I stay home on Sunday mornings, look after Pia while Bree runs the long run.
That's good.
Last night ran with the running pram with Bree on the bike. It was
nice.
Didn't you say you'd never do that? I'm pretty sure I remember you saying that's ridiculous. You'd never do a running pram.
I've said lots of things before, Tom.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of things I've said, but what I actually do is different. So I've been running about 30 to 40K a week consistently, and like I'm starting to feel better gradually. I've had 3 main shoes in the rotation. First one, can't remember whether I showed this last time or not.
Yeah, Caldera, nice.
Caldera 6. Did I show this? Can you remember?
I reckon you showed it on the main show, maybe. I reckon. So
okay. Well, I might have talked about it. So the Caldera 6 is Brooks's new. Well, they've had the Caldera for 5 versions. The 6th is quite different. It uses their new foam that we're going to see in the Glycerin and the Glycerin GTS. It's called DNA Loft 3, I think. I think that's what they call it.
Yes, it's the Loft 3.
Yeah.
Yep.
Loft 3. Yep.
Well, in the Aurora as well. I think that test.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah, it is, and it's going to come through in the Glycerin franchise. And I got this one a little early, just through slipping it through an order when I wasn't supposed to on the Brooks portal. And it's out now, but I love the foam. The foam has guts. It has response. It's really stable. No chance of bottoming this out. I think this is one of the best foams that I've used in a training shoe in a very long time. In terms of this shoe, it is a light lug pattern, so you can see underneath
so that'll act as a hybrid for you pretty well, wouldn't it? So you can go on the road in that. Yeah.
Hybrid's a good call. Like this will be a hybrid. It's soft enough for the road. I have some concrete footpaths that join the trail, so I run on the. So if I have to go on the concrete, it's fine. It's not like your foot actually sits down within the shoe, so there's big sidewalls to it. One of the issues I've found with the sidewalls is that they're a bit narrow, and my foot actually rests on the sidewall, and I occasionally get like a pressing pain on the outside of my foot because my foot's not sitting flat inside the shoe. The outside sitting on the wall.
I'm pretty sure I mentioned this, didn't I? As we spoke about this recently with how that happens in hockers. I've seen some people come in with irritation on the styloid, which is like the base of the 5th metatarsal on the lateral aspect of the foot. So I think that's one downside of trying to get stability with the sidewall. I think is just those people with that anatomy that just presses in like that into it.
Yeah, you're right. You did say that last time. Also, the slight another issue is this toe cap's quite firm. So again, this is another pet peeve of mine is shoes that come with really hard toe caps, because my foot gets sensitive to that pressure up there. I wear my shoes I'm in between 11.5 and 12, but I always prefer the 11.5. But with these hard toe caps,
so what we're assuming that's to protect you from kicking a rock on the trail or whatever. That's what it's there for.
That's basically it, and it also helps keep your foot contained on top of the shoe. But I feel like it's just a little harsh for everyday running. There is this, if you see, segmented outsole, lateral, medial, designed to sort of contort to the variances underfoot in the trail. So that's the Caldera 6. I'm liking it. And now I have two shoes from On running. So firstly, the Stratus, which outside the Monster, this is their most cushioned shoe. I'm not going to go deep dive on the brand or anything, but this is supposed to be their most cushioned neutral shoe. It's also, it feels like to me, it's their most stable shoe. So think about this, comparing it to underfoot, maybe a Brooks Ghost, a Mizuno Rider type feel. I found it very firm. I like the rigidity. I like how stiff the shoe is. It's got a bit of give, but it's still rigid enough that I feel like it's protective. The upper is beautiful. No problems with the fit. It's very deep heel cup, so you can see very hard heel counter as well. Feels really quite supportive, almost like boot-like through the back, kind of like a Mizuno, to be honest. Underfoot, though, very firm. I've enjoyed it on the treadmill or on dirt roads, but as soon as I get on the concrete, I found it a little harsh. I'm used to softer shoes. So
look, and that's not just the foam, that's also the speed board being quite superficial as well, right?
The speed board is like that Strobel board type thing at the bottom. Is that what you're referring to, like a plate?
Yeah. So it sits closer to the foot, just under the sock liner, really. So it's I feel that when I put it on when I walk, and I definitely feel that a little bit even in the shoe you're going to show next as well. So
well, this is the On Cloud Monster, and you can see this shoe has sort of a little bit more toe spring. It's a bit higher stack, and you can see this lug here. There's a pronounced almost rock point just under this lug, or what do they call these things? What does the brand call them?
I should know.
Cloud Tech? I don't know.
Cloud Tech, Cloud Tech pods. Cloud Tech pod, is it? I'm not sure.
Pod.
That was
pod.
The garden hose. The garden hose cushioning.
It's so underneath that pod, I feel the rock point. This is a shoe that I have really enjoyed running in. I think the fit, again, is spot on. Onto really nice uppers in their shoe. It's not too narrow. It's not too wide. When I cinch the laces, I get a good lockdown. No slippage through the heel. What else? Up front, up toe here. Again, this is soft up front, so I can wear it a little shorter. But this shoe, for me, running on my midfoot, I feel like if you hit the right spot on this rocker, oh boy, it's nice. It's very propulsive feeling. It's very poppy. It's not super spongy like an Invincible. I'd compare it to the feeling of, how would I compare this?
Like a Zoom Fly?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, Zoom Fly could be the. I reckon there's a better one than that.
Yeah, I thought it would be an Infinity with a bit of plastic board in there. I reckon that's what it would feel like for me.
Yeah, something like that. It's definitely not like spongy soft, but it is pronounced toe spring and rocker. So you could, I'm just jogging in my shoes. Feels good to jog in, but I reckon you could get going in if you wanted to.
Absolutely, I think it feels better when you get going in it, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I haven't had that problem. So there's been no getting going on my end. But yeah, they're the three in my rotation. Well, I have more, but they're the three that I've been testing. And I'm not going to do a lot of miles in this, maybe only when it's real soft, maybe treadmill. But I can see myself getting through 800 Ks of that. And when it gets a bit wetter, this is really nice on the track too. So I'll stick to these three until we see some newer models hit later in the month.
Well, that Caldera, Tom, for you next door to Royal Park now, that's perfect for you.
Yeah, it's looking good. I reckon I like that one.
Bit heavy for Tom, I reckon.
True.
Bit
Not for
obsessed
jogging,
with
though.
numbers.
Nah, I'll be all right. Jogging.
All right, Tom, tell us, a couple of weeks ago, you were jogging more than all of us. Is that still the case?
No, I haven't run for 2 weeks.
Oh,
It's so depressing.
it's over.
I'm hoping to run today. So, yeah, it's exciting.
But give us a rundown.
Yeah.
You have shoes, though. You got a lot of shoes on hand.
Yeah, the problem is I got a lot of shoes that just haven't been worn. So, so what happened? So, I've just been a bit sick. So I had flu, and then Lana, my wife's got COVID and the flu. So I've just been, and we had the move. So yeah, it's been a bit hectic. But prior to all that, I actually had a couple of sessions. I was back in the Next Percent and the Sky version 1, and now obviously I do have the Sky Plus, the second iteration, which I haven't been able to wear yet. But I still like version 1. It's up there, like probably my second favorite super shoe, as opposed to the Vaporfly, which would be number 1 for me. I really enjoy that shoe. So I took that with me away on that conference a few weeks ago. Had that, and I actually had a shoe that I hadn't worn because I was hoping to do some trails up on Noosa National Park up there. The Asics Fuji Light, I think it's called.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's soft, so it's kind of like it's got the midsole density of maybe like a Cumulus or.
It's high stack now, isn't it?
No, it's still like it's not that high.
Yeah.
So it's soft, but it's still like not super cushioned, just because it's still relatively low to the ground.
Is that the Trabuco that went high stack then?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
Trabuco
so it's not
Max
like
went
that.
high stack.
But yeah, I enjoyed that shoe. Like that's quite a nice, soft kind of, could do it hybrid, which I used it for that purpose, like a little bit of road, a little bit of trail. Yeah. The interesting thing, because we chatted recently as well about your issue, Nitta, with you're becoming a little bit old and reliant on cushioning. Nothing's soft enough for you these days.
Mate, I remember like doing a cross country race a couple of years ago, but it was half on dirt, half on that, and I wore the Lunar Racer and thinking this is such a soft shoe. Yeah. Now I could hardly wear the shoe, I reckon.
Yeah. So I spent that weekend away. So normally at work I wear running shoes. So like I'm in a casual pair of Adidas Boost. It's not like I'm always in soft shoes. I'm running in soft stuff, working in soft stuff. I spent a weekend in a pair of Vans, which I'd never wear Vans, but Lana bought me a pair, and I was like, I'll take them. I'll wear them. She's trying to make me look more fashionable, and so I spent the weekend in these shoes, and they're obviously heaps firmer than what I'm used to. And then I get back on the Monday or whatever day it was, and I was trying on a few shoes, like, what am I going to wear today? And I put on a pair that I had for a while but hadn't run in, the Mizuno Wave Rider Neo.
Oh yeah.
And I reckon normally that would have felt like pretty firm, but because I just spent a whole weekend, I reckon just one weekend in Vans, I was like, "Ooh, this is plush." I felt like it was so cushioned. I'm like, "Wow, this is so cushioned." So no, actually, I enjoyed that shoe. So I've done a little bit of running in that until I got sick. But to that point, I think it's quite interesting that all it took for me, I think, was a weekend in a hard shoe to kind of reset things a little bit. And I was like, this is kind of. So I do think people's preferences can be altered depending on gradually how they utilize their rotation, and whether they're just always using soft stuff and never touching back to something lower stack, and they become a little bit used to that.
Look, there's no doubt you get that perception. I reckon at the end of summer I was doing more workouts on the track, and every shoe gets exposed to touch more on a hard surface. And I reckon, if I was wearing a Dragonfly for 2 kilometers worth of work at the end of the workout, while it feels soft underfoot, geez, like a high stack shoe the next day feels much softer again. So look, I think during the winter phase, people are doing a lot more jogging and threshold work. It's probably easy that people are wearing more jogging shoe and more super shoe when they are running, that, they do gravitate to softer shoes. That's where the market lands. We have a young girl who's just joined our group. She doesn't have a super shoe yet. So her current workout shoe is the Hyperion Tempo, which costs the same as a super shoe, right? But Tom, that is similar to a Lunar Racer almost, or a Lunar Trainer. Like, it's not soft shoe, but so she's going to get a bit of a shock when she goes into a super shoe. Like, can you remember the first feeling when you whacked on like a 4%? Like, I can hardly remember what it felt like, but I remember it was really dramatic. Whereas you just don't get that now anymore. So
yeah, true. Yeah, very true. I won't forget the first time I ran into 4%. That was
that was Fukuoka, wasn't it? Or was it just before?
Oh yeah, that's the first time I raced. No, the first time I raced in it was City to Surf 2017. I got the shoes like the first drop online like the week before City to Surf. I did like a little jog in it just before the race, and I was like, "There's no way I'm not wearing this," even though like I'd done one little 20-minute jog in it. Yeah, phenomenal,
mate. I remember. I reckon we went for a jog with 2019 Gold Coast Marathon. I went for a jog with Millie Clark the day before, and she'd never worn a Next Percent, and she was planning to wear the Zoom Fly at the time, like the second version, the Flyknit one. And I think the shoes arrived the day before her race, and she ended up just putting them on and running. She had like 2:28 that day, I think it was, pretty much a solo run, and she ran away. But these shoes you can just put on straight away from the get-go, and no dramas at all. They're not leather. You just wear them straight away. They feel fantastic. So the jogging shoes now. Like, I mean, you guys haven't been wearing this. This is what I've been wearing for more than most of my shoes. Talk about making me soft. Now it's dirty. So he went to the trails yesterday. This is the Super Comp.
The trails?
TC. Yeah.
Yeah, that should not be happening.
Look, I've got an explanation for this, but I'll go through the shoe first. So, Julie, you know it pretty well. I think it's 47. Is it 47 at the rear?
Correct.
There's not a lot of sidewall here. There's a bit of sidewall, but not much. And I think it's an 8mm drop. Is that right?
It is. Yep.
Yeah. Right. And it feels, it's got this energy arc on the base. So you can see a bit of bark stuck in the base here. It's been chewed up a little bit. I'm not sure what this little rubber zone is here. I'm assuming it's to protect the plate a touch more in the forefoot. But yeah, 48 mils of rear foot stack, and then close to 40 in the forefoot almost as well. It's an extraordinary shoe. If anything offloads your calves. So the reason I'm wearing this all week is because I did my first workout in ages on Tuesday, and my calves are cooked, not because of the shoes, just because I'm not in condition to run fast. And so this shoe, I don't feel any calf soreness in this shoe. It's been brilliant. So it's keeping me jogging between calf adapting, which has taken a while at 36. So this is probably the most enjoyable shoe I've run in out of all the high stack one, but it couldn't make you any softer, I don't think. So, but it's nice on trail. It's nice on road. It's quite heavy. I mean, you can't have a shoe like this and not expect it to be semi-heavy. So I think it's maybe 320 or 30 grams for a size 10.
I didn't think it was that much.
Have you said the actual model? I don't think you said the model name. People that are listening that aren't watching.
The Super Comp TC, New Balance, Super Comp
Trainer.
TC.
Super Comp Trainer.
Trainer, yeah, that's right. You got a low stack version of this Super Comp coming out soon, don't you?
The Super Comp Pacer comes out.
Yeah.
And there's 3 shoes coming out. Super Comp Trainer, which you're holding.
Yep.
Super Comp Elite V3, which is an update to the RC Elite V2. That's been pushed back to February. And then the Super Comp Pacer, which may have already dropped, is like a low stack plated racing flat.
So it goes in. Yeah, it goes into Takumi and the Takumi type range. Lower again. There you go.
Oh, it feels lower to me anyway.
Is it a full length carbon plate?
Yes.
Is it legal on track?
Not on track.
Okay. Yep. No, interesting. Would have been nice to put one legal on track. See how it went.
But yeah. They've had a hard enough time, I reckon, putting a plate in a shoe that's only like, I don't know, it could be 28, 30 mil high. You can tell like it has trouble getting that sort of rocker or that toe off that spring.
Yep. This is like, it's not the most stable shoe, but the carbon makes it more stable. You can see the huge segmentation that goes all the way through from rear to about 2/3 up to the forefoot. The upper is that single piece type synthetic material with so if you turn around a bend, for example, the upper moves with the foot a lot, so it doesn't lock you down that well, but it's, the rear foot counter is semi-stiff, so it's not completely compliant. Look, this is a shoe that you can probably pack in your bag, and you can do a tempo, you can do a long run, you can do an easy run. It's a pretty easy shoe to put on. So, but yeah, in regards to wearing this in an Invincible, I find it a more stable Invincible, but probably just higher off the ground again. So I've been rotating between that and the Monster. So it's a lot of offloading of the calf, and there's been about a 10 mil heel pitch put into the Monster as well, because the Monster has so much volume and I can put a lot of heel pitch in there. So
wow.
I actually went for a jog this morning in this shoe. This is the first time I've run with this. This is the new Asics Kano Light third version. So to keep it really simple, I can't give huge feedback on it. Besides, this is the first the first light series shoe that I've worn that I don't bottom out. So the foam might be a slightly higher durometer potentially, or it's just purely the geometry of the midsole. It's flared a lot laterally and medially, so the surface area is extremely large. It felt really stable underfoot. The upper is nice and light. It does have a little bit of a rear foot rocker to it, Tom, but maybe aesthetically, but a little bit to it more than previous versions. But I can't feel that too much. It's really far back in the shoe, so I don't really notice that much at all. But I haven't even been given the specs for this shoe yet, so I will probably come back to it after I've done more running in the shoe. And but otherwise, really lightweight, stable mileage shoe. Has maybe a few Kawana feels, but maybe softer, I reckon. But otherwise, really nice update from them. I probably couldn't wear the first two versions too well. Like I sort of bottomed the forefoot out a bit too much, or they felt a bit harsh, but they were still stable as well, the first two versions. I actually didn't mind them. They just, on the hard surface, I struggled with them, but that's probably me more so than anything else. And since I've been coming back into a couple more workouts, this is the shoe that I missed ages ago, and I'm not sure why, to be honest, but this is the RC Elite 2. So obviously, Julian just mentioned that this gets a name change, the next version. So he said the Super Comp Elite, is that right?
Correct.
Yep. And using their full fuel cell midsole carbon plate in the shoe. This is their super shoe. Look, it's a completely different shoe to the first one. This is the most enjoyable training shoe I own for faster workouts. So it's soft underfoot. I think it reacts really well to running maybe slightly slower paces. So more like closer to marathon pace and not quite as poppy as an X% or even the new Asics Meta Speed Sky Plus or Edge Plus. So really like forgiving racing trainer. So I've done a couple workouts on this, returning back to it, and it's been really, really nice. So look, I could probably do a long run of this shoe as well. I think that's probably what I'd wear this for, is more like a pickup type run for marathon blocks, which I'm not currently doing, but it's a shoe that I just haven't worn previous. I don't know if you guys have worn this much. Julian would have. I don't think Tom has. Have you guys worn this guy, compared it to other super shoes on the market?
Yeah, I've run in it last year, got a pair, and found that it was it's less rocket, it's less springy than others, but it's more cushion, and that's probably why I felt like you do. I could jog in it. So I don't necessarily feel like it's that fast of a shoe, but I did appreciate the cushioning, the surface area. I thought the fit was really nice. And I would use it as like you would, basically. And you can do marathon workouts in it. I know, it's close. It's close. It's really close. And I think the next version, when they take some geometry that we see in the trainer and bring it to the race model, I can see that being a winner. But just gotta wait for that now.
Yeah, so you said that's February, didn't you? And that comes in a wider version off memory. I think that's
for
right.
Men only. I think for men only. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that going to be the same foam? Do you know?
As the Super Comp, it will be.
Okay.
I'm not sure the intricate differences between the fuel cells, to be honest.
Look, I know this is for next month. I know you guys all have one of these as well, and I've only done the one workout, so I can't be, or actually two workouts in the shoe, so I can't be, we're not giving a review this month, but this is the Asics new Meta Speed Sky Plus. So thanks to the Inside Running podcast for sending this one through, and also Jason from Asics later on. What was interesting, you guys were talking about sidewall before around the styloid process. Tom, you felt this? The sidewall is not at the rear foot, it's right at the styloid process. Yeah. But look, on visual, it looks like the forefoot's higher than the rear foot, doesn't it? In terms of stack height. It runs off, I think, like a 39 at the rear and I think a 35 at the forefoot. And the plate's really high in the shoe. So they haven't, and we'll talk about this in one of the segments that we have today as well. But initially, this shoe felt much better running faster. So the opposite to the RC Elite 2. So if I did a fast rep closer to 3 to 310 pace, this shoe felt very poppy. But at slower paces, I really sort of struggled to maybe get over the rocker. Perhaps I felt like if I hit at the rear part of the shoe through here, it took a while to get over the rocker that was superficial. If I hit it really much in the sweet spot in the last 10 centimeters of the shoe, I got a lot of pop. And I think that was the concept, wasn't it? A really high plate, so the foam beneath the plate and the shoe can compress more to store and release energy for that long striding gait. I'm pretty skeptical of that one, but Tom has the edge as well. So I'm interested to see how it functions differently to the edge.
Yeah. Hopefully I can be doing some runs soon. Try them out.
Good collection of shoes, fellas. So Tom, I know this isn't gonna, you're not gonna be able to answer this question. So I'm gonna change the question for you. Instead of what shoes have you seen on the long run, what were the 5 most recent shoes that came through the clinic on the feet of patients?
Oh, geez, give me a heads up. There's been a couple of GT 2000s come in lately.
Wow.
Still see a lot of Asics, particularly with the footy players. Their runners are normally the Asics. Otherwise,
that's interesting. Have the boys like from Sydney moved into doing their time trials in Next Percent and things like that as well, or?
Yeah. A lot of them were doing had Next Percents and Alphas. Yeah. And then a few of them got injured, and if there was some blame label maybe on the shoes, but we know
blaming shoes.
We know shoes don't cause injury, Tom.
Yeah, we could pull Nitta up on that one. Recent comment. I don't know. There's what else did I have recently? Probably had had a Next Percent, had a guy come in, run crew guy, and lead up to Gold Coast. He had a irritation, I think, from the that collar on the Next Percent, pad.
Oh yeah.
And as I told him at the time, there's actually been a few people that have had that issue, insertional Achilles being flared by that real focal pad lip that came around there. So he was having a real frictional problem around that.
Did that disappear in the Next Percent too, or was that still in the Next Percent too? I can't remember. They're still there.
So it stays, but he found interestingly, because he had both, the pain was much less in the Next Percent too. And when you look at the heel cup shape, it was a little bit more vertical and not as tilted.
Tapered in. Yeah.
So it's possible that pad just was sitting in a slightly different position, but still the same pad.
All right.
That's all I'm gonna give that.
Who is wearing what? No, you don't have to say who, but what did you see on the long run?
Look, so we had about 10 people in the long run. I was saying to you off air that out of 10 people running, only 2 people were wearing the same shoe. So this is what I saw. So, and I'll give a notable mention for the worst shoe selection and the best shoe selection out of this as well. So
yours was the worst.
Absolutely. It's not even a question. Look, the Pegasus 36 I saw, and which, I don't see too much of that anymore, but Pegasus 36, not bad on the trail though, segmented out. So I saw 2 Clifton 8s. I saw a pair of New Balance 1080s. They were white at the start. They were not white at the end. A Triumph 19, an Ultra Mont Blanc, which I reckon notably probably was the best choice for the trail on the day. Granted, Gluey does work at the running company, so can select shoes a bit better than the average person. A Nimbus 2 or Nimbus Light 2 or 3. I think the 2 or 3 are the same shoe almost, aren't they? Just an upper change, right? Couldn't tell you if it was correct. Couldn't give you the second or third, but Nimbus Light, Infinity 2, and a Super Comp TC, which was arguably the worst decision for the run. Only when it was really Trainer. That's it. I'm just stuck in the past when you sent me that fuel cell TC years ago.
Yeah,
before it became the racer.
I love that there's a big mix, and it's something that I use as an example in store all the time. When it's a frustration when there's a customer who goes, my friend wears this, I'd like she said, this is the one, this is a good shoe, this is the one I should try. And then the next question is, well, what's another good shoe? And I just say, look, we have a training group, there might be 15 people there, everyone wears a different shoe. So good runners don't wear this shoe, slow runners don't wear that shoe. It's just very different, and there are so many good shoes out there that we don't pigeonhole into good and bad anymore.
if I told you that I told these guys 6 months from now we're going to catch up for another long run, I'm going to do the same thing, I guarantee no one's wearing the same shoe again, but I guarantee almost everyone's wearing a slightly different shoe to each other once again, except for maybe Zach, who just continues to buy the Nimbus Lite. So for everything.
Yeah.
Well, they're buying a lot of pairs then.
That's true. They do.
Getting out of them.
Yeah. He's a lightweight boy, so he can get a bit more out of him.
All right, that's good. I'm going to throw a question at you now. This one, we see a lot of plated shoes on the market now, and we have podiatrists who refer for plated shoes to unload certain areas like the Achilles or the first metatarsal joint.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if someone goes into a running store and goes, where are the plated shoes? Are they all going to do the same job, or are there differences between the different models that have carbon plates in them?
Look, I'll let Tom start with this because he asked a question in our group the other day about carbon plates. So podiatrists been using carbon plates for years prior to carbon shoes to try and offload, midfoot or big toe arthritis. But Tom, you've been working with footballers and things and using carbon plates that you're placing into a shoe, and you've also been prescribing shoes that have carbon plates in them. There'd be a time and place for one compared to another as well, isn't there? And obviously now we've got shoes that have different dimensions of plates and geometries of plates within the midsole now. So where do you start?
Probably start right back at like the purpose, which would be, like you've mentioned, Julian, we are using them primarily as a injury thing, like so to offload something. But a lot of the reason they're in shoes at the moment is for like a performance benefit or to work synergistically with the foams to provide stability to aid in that performance benefit. So I guess the simplest thing with us when you think about offloading with a plate, or probably the biggest rationale for it helping would be around the forefoot joints. And we know, like from research around the super shoes, around joints, is that the carbon plate reduces workload of the MPJ, so the forefoot joints, the joints just the base of the toes. So reduces workload. It would reduce extension, so mobility as well of those joints. So if you've got arthritic joints that already have limited motion and don't like going through full range of extension in a flexible shoe, the carbon plate is a fantastic option for that. It's interesting you mentioned the Achilles, because I don't often recommend carbon plates for Achilles. I actually find that if the plate's too stiff, it can actually increase Achilles load. So I'm really careful with shoes that are really stiff for people with Achilles pathology. It seems that the feature of the super shoe that helps Achilles is more the rocker rather than the plate. So if there's a really good forefoot rocker, I think that can, and there's some research around that helping reduce Achilles load and work around the ankle.
That is interesting. Just to butt in there a little bit, Tom, like with the geometry of the rockers placed into midsoles as well, that's more interesting, because the plates that you put into shoes, for example, they don't have a lot of curvature to them. They're mildly curved, so they fit within the shoe complex, right? But the ones that go within a 40 mil stack midsole, they can curve them a lot more as well, which means, I think it's the concept of the Edge and the Sky Plus is that the curve of the plate is quite different from one to another, which ideally you can probably compress the foam more superficially on the edge before you hit the plate. Maybe that acts as a slightly better fulcrum to lever the Achilles up a touch more. Whereas I found in the Sky Plus off just one or two runs is I have to really hit past the plate. I do feel a lot more load on my posterior ankle when I wear the Sky Plus, because it is a very superficial plate and it's not curved much either. So that's why it feels a hell of a lot more comfortable with the heel pitch in it as well. So, but the curve of the plate within the midsole probably is playing a role here in terms of changing what you're using to offload. Yeah,
I reckon there was like a presentation. I don't think the paper was ever published, but I think it was like internal Nike studies on the flat plate versus the curved plate they eventually went with in the 4%, and they found that curved plate, so in the forefoot when it dips down lower to the ground as opposed to staying superficial towards the foot, that it reduced the load at the forefoot joints, but it didn't increase load at the ankle, whereas the flat plate shifted the load to the ankle. So that's exactly what you're feeling with the Sky. I think it's probably in the Sky, it's probably the combination of the superficial plate in the forefoot, but also lower drop. So
absolutely,
that's why I think the Edge would be a good prescription shoe for people with Achilles issues. It's higher drop and that plate's lower at the forefoot.
Look, that makes sense. I saw a post the other day, the Doctors of Running post, where they talked about prescribing shoes relative to age change, like, attributes of age. So obviously with a runner becoming a little bit more risk of posterior calf injury and Achilles injury, just due to less absolute or relative strength, shifting a person from a Sky geometry to a Edge geometry might be more sustainable for that runner for that purpose as well. Look, it's hard. Once you start looking at all these super shoes, it's really tough to feel these things. But this is the only superficial plate shoe that I've had. And when I don't hit the rear foot, it feels brilliant. When I hit the rear foot, I feel like the shoe completely changes. So maybe the person's interaction with the ground and foot strike is hugely dependent on how that plate's going to react as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Well summed up.
But still useful tools. You mentioned the other day, Julian, that, some people are prescribing, super shoes potentially for people of, 70, 80 years of age to offload midfoot and big toe away. But sometimes that's just not how it works. If you put someone who's, 60, 70 years of age with maybe is a bit unstable and you put a lot of shoe between their foot and the ground with a carbon plate, maybe the science suggests you'll offload that part of your foot, but they probably also fall over as well. So there's a time and place for a shoe just to be stiff from the midsole materials, like a Brooks Dyad, for example, which has a mild rocker in the forefoot to keep other popular and still offload things like big toe or forefoot joint pathology and midfoot pain as well. So you just can't be putting everyone into super shoes for the exact same purpose. We have shoes that have worked in that area previously as well. So I think knowing the range and the geometry of the shoe and, whether it's a rocker attribute you're searching for, whether it's the plate itself, there's a time and place for one more than the other at a different time compared to someone's pathology, but also age and what they want to look like as well. So you don't want, Nana Spence walking around with, a massive super shoe and things like that. Which you might want a black leather shoe, and that's where a Dyad probably still does the job, right?
How much Julian, are you getting oldies in something like a Bondi?
Oh, every day. It's one of our biggest selling shoes. I think by the time that customer gets to the age where they are really unstable on their feet, we're not really seeing them come through our store.
Got it.
So the majority of Bondis we sell are to 40 to 60-year-olds as walking shoes, or as a treatment tool for their injury. That's it. That's what we sell them for mainly. Yeah,
and a much safer option than popping them in a super shoe with super soft.
And they come in a width. So it's most of these customers have sensitivities in their joints, so they need a broader shoe, more generous toe box. So the New Balance more wide and the Hoka Bondi wide are our two big sellers in this area. We will eventually get the Glide Ride 3 in September that comes in a width. We've got the Endorphin Shift in a broad coming in, I'm going to say it's like mid-July, August maybe. So there's going to be plenty of options in this area. It gives people a choice outside of Bondi.
Look, in the Glide Ride, it's one of those examples of when you place a rocket-soled shoe on, that one feels the most pronounced, I would say, out of all of them. And so often I find that the older population perhaps gravitate away from that because it just feels too foreign to what they've ever experienced before. And so the Bondi doesn't feel that foreign. It feels like you're a long way off the ground, but it's probably a little bit, they don't feel like they're being rolling forward, for example. They actually have to work to do that. Whereas the Glide Ride, you just put it on, you fall forward and it rockers you forward instantly. So there's very few shoes like that. The Super Comp trainer's a little bit like that as well, perhaps.
You don't want to feel unstable like you've rocked backwards when you're standing as well. So occasionally you can feel that in the Bondi. Don't feel that as much in the more. Very
true. Yeah. But the more it's dramatically changed over time as well. It's become much more compliant underfoot, soft underfoot, and I think it becomes softer again next year. It's not even really a rocker sole. It might be a rocker sole, but it becomes a really segmented rear foot. So it's going to be a very plush shoe. I don't think it's going to be a treatment shoe anymore.
Yeah, that's right. That's what we're seeing.
Yep.
But there is actually there is going to be a replacement coming from New Balance first half of the year. Very cool. Very cool. I've never been excited about a shoe like this type of shoe before. It's basically a walking shoe. I won't give it away because it's pretty fun.
All right, cool. We will stay tuned. So I reckon that covers everything. Oh, Hall of Fame shoe. Who had that this week?
Oh, damn.
Look, Tom, come on. You can do this on the spot.
I don't have.
You don't even need to run for this, Tom.
Huh?
You don't even need to run to answer this.
Yeah, I don't have any shoes with me.
You don't need it. You don't need it. You can just tell me a Hall of Fame shoe. Surely.
I was always going to go straight to the Mayfly for this.
Explain the Mayfly for people.
We always talk about the Mayfly.
Explain the Mayfly, because some people don't. Well, the kids that I coach and a lot of guys I coach would not even know what this shoe is. What is they don't even know what a Mayfly is. So
it's very sad that people don't know about the Mayfly. That's why I wish I had the shoe here to show it. It was basically I can't remember what year it came out. Early 2000s. 2008. No, before 2006 maybe. It was basically, so the marketing around it was like, we're going to bring out a shoe that is so minimal and so lightweight that only lasts pretty much race day and then disintegrates. So a mayfly is an insect that like lives for a day or something. So that's why they called it the mayfly. And it was, basically it was just like a thin slab of EVA, moderately soft, and it had a parachute type upper, like very minimal upper. So I actually used to wear that. Wear it a size small because it was like such a soft and minimal upper. You could just wrap like a glove. It was pretty much like a glove on your foot.
Did you run your first Melbourne marathon in it?
Yeah. So it was extremely lightweight. So it was like lighter than all the other. It was like, I think 140 something grams. It was a bit like the Asics Piranha at the time, like very minimal type shoe, very lightweight. But it was more cushion than the Piranha. That's why I liked it. It had a touch of cush. Just a phenomenal shoe, just lightweight, just the fact that it was so light but had a little bit of cush to it. I found the cushion to weight was pretty good, even though it wasn't cushioned compared to a super shoe, but it was just so lightweight. But yeah, having said that, I'd wore it for I think a couple of halves before I did the marathon, and I got to and they were fine for the halves, but in the marathon I got to 23k and my feet started to hurt. And then 1 year later was my Fukuoka marathon, and the first time I did that, and that was in the 4%. And so I had that polarizing experience, and I don't think you could never go back to racing a marathon in that sort of shoe. But at the time, I loved that shoe. That was actually at the time, I was just after the marathon. I was trying to get a hold of another lunar racer, because the next marathon I was going to do was going to be in a lunar racer, just for that fact that I just needed a little bit more cushion than the Mayfly for the full.
With the Mayfly you could send it back after you worn it out. Was that right? Was it like the upper was recycled material? Was that right?
I don't think so, but it came with like a warning tag. It was like, do not run past 100 kilometers. So it had like a K limit on it, and it was like 100K. So it was like they told you not to run more than 100K in this shoe.
Instantly explodes on the spot when it goes past 100Ks.
Yeah, if you've seen that Dumb Runner thing, haven't you? Yeah, I love that.
That's good. It was good to catch up, guys. So hopefully more running from all of us this next month. And next when we get to talk about the Asics, Meta Speed Sky, and you've got the Edge as well, Tommy. So you'll be the comparison.
I'll have to start running.
Yeah.
All right,
guys.
cheers, boys.
Have a good week.
Sounds good. See you guys.
See ya.